Shalom, will praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakal Kadash. Double honors unto the apostles and elders of GreatMillStone who rule well, and shalom to the hopeful elect. This is News and Prophecy. This is an article from Zero Hedge, which reads, Reporter quits NBC citing network support for endless war. Now, before I get into the article, just extrapolate key points. Endless war is on the agenda because Esau's rulership is donated, is basically established by endless warfare. That was established in the book of Genesis, the 27th chapter, when Isaac gave his blessing unto Esau. And this is the thing, the masses of the people don't understand that what is written inside of the scriptures, the Holy Bible, the most sold book upon earth, actually expounds upon the current events that are going on today, okay, down to a T. And when I say daily events, I'm really not talking about what color trainers you're going to walk out wearing. I'm talking about key events that are going to pan out on this earth. Two key examples being the RFID chip being the mark of the beast, and World War III, which is written inside of the Bible, which leads on to this point of endless war. The reason why there's endless war is because it was established from the foundations of the Bible in the book of Revelations that there will be 3 world wars, okay, which I'm going to read. This is Revelations 8 and 13. And it reads, And I beheld and heard an angel flying through the midst of heaven, saying with a loud voice, Woe, 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 to the inhabitants of the earth, by reason of the other voices of the trumpet of the 3 angels which are yet to sound. Now the word woe means destruction, and warfare is a form of what? Destruction, okay? Destruction of a nation, its people, its infrastructure, its history. That's warfare, basically. Now, these 3 warfares can be denoted by World War I, World War II, World War III. A trilogy, if you may. Okay, so now this journalist seems to be very upset at the fact that they keep on reporting upon warfare, but guess what? That's Esau is a bloody man, okay? And that's how he's established his rulership, which he seems to forget that America was established on what? Blood, okay? They just had Thanksgiving about nearly 2 months ago, and guess what? That was the that was them, them giving thanks to the fact that they got the better of they got food after quote unquote outwitting the Native Americans, which according to the Bible were the tribe of Gad, okay? And so they give thanks for that. So America was established upon warfare, and unfortunately for you, Esau, or this journalist, basically that's how, woe to the bloody city, because the city is established upon blood. There's basically a blood debt that's cast upon that, okay, that city. So I'm going to read this. A journalist with NBC has resigned from the network with a statement which highlights the immense resistance that ostensibly liberal mass media outlets have to anti-war narratives, skepticism of U.S. military agendas, and any movement in the opposite direction of endless military expansion. So because he ain't about the military expansion of America, he has resigned, okay? January 4th is my last day at NBC News, and I'd like to say goodbye to my friends, hopefully not for good. Begins an email titled My Goodbye Letter to NBC, sent to various contacts by William M. Arkin, an award-winning journalist who has been associated with the network for 30 years. This isn't the first time I've left NBC, but this time the parting is more bittersweet. The world in a state of journalism in tandem crisis. So he's saying this ain't the first time I've left, but the way of the world at this present time and the state of journalism that's covering the world also is just crisis, basically. So he's telling you there, someone that's been around for the last 30 years covering the news, it's getting worse. And guess what? It's going to get worse, because the Bible prophesies of it being a time like never before seen upon earth. Okay, the email continues, my expertise, though seeming to be all the more central to the challenges and dangers we face, also seems to be less valued at the moment. So he's saying he's an expert in the understanding of the challenges and the dangers that are to come upon the earth, but no one wants to speak about it. Okay, and I find myself completely out of sync with the network, being neither a day-to-day reporter nor interested in the Trump circus. So he's not interested in speaking about the bull, the BS that is being covered in the news. He wants to give out the real rap. Okay, but guess what? It's not being, no one's taking him seriously. Okay, so I'm going to read these last couple paragraphs. I thought that the mission was to break through the machine of perpetual war acceptance and conventional wisdom to challenge Hillary Clinton's hawkishness. It was also an interesting moment at NBC because everyone was looking over their shoulder at Vice and other upstarts creeping up on the mainstream. Okay, you know about Vice and these other upstarts, these less known media forums. They basically are giving the real in terms of what is going on. Even Twitter, as a news forum, will give out a better understanding on the news. Instagram, Twitter, these social media mediums will give out a better understanding of what's going on as opposed to the mainstream news. Okay, and that's what he thought that what he would be established to do would basically challenge that, because of all this that's going on with all these other news forums. Okay. Okay, but then Trump got elected and investigations got sucked into the tweeting vortex, increasingly lost in a directionless adrenaline rush, the national security and political version of leading the broadcast with every snowstorm. And that's basically what's happened with the news. It's just being moved from every movement of the wind. Okay. And that's being done by design, okay, because the masses of the people don't know what's going on, and they don't, and the elites don't want them to know what's going on. They want them to sleepwalk into their new world order, okay, and the rest of them, they want to basically dismember them, or take their heads, cut their heads off for them to die in the time that they're heading into, so that they can establish that new world order where only 500 million people can be left upon earth, okay, which is a lot of killing. But then, and I would assert that in many ways, NBC just began emulating the national security state itself, busy and profitable. No war is won, but the ball is kept in play. So they basically just they weren't reporting nothing of any weight in gold. They were just talking about the average day-to-day gossip. Okay, I'd argue that under Trump, the national security establishment not only hasn't missed a beat, but indeed has gained dangerous strength. So he's saying that the national security, the people within the governmental power, have established themselves greatly under Trump's rule. Now it is ever more autonomous and practically impervious to criticism, to the point where no one can gainsay anything they do. I'd also argue ever so gingerly that NBC has become somewhat lost in its own verve, proxies of boring moderation and conventional wisdom, defender of the government against Trump, cheerleader for open and subtle threat mongering, in love with procedure and protocol over all else, including results. I accept that there's a lot to report here, but I'm more worried about how much we are missing, hence my desire to take a step back and think why so little changes in regards to America's wars. And the reason why I know is this man also spoke, he called bullshit when during the time of the Bush administration, saying that there was no WMDs, which we come to find out there was no weapons of mass destruction. Okay, so he's really outspoken against war, and the true agendas behind these things playing out. Okay, but he's saying that no one is taking his voice seriously. That's why he's leaving. Arkin is not a fan of Trump, calling him an ignorant and incompetent imposter, but describes his shock at NNBC's reflexive opposition to the president's bumbling institutions to get along with Russia, to decommute. Okay, let me read that again. But describes his shock at NNBC's reflexive opposition to the president's bumbling institutions to get along with Russia. Okay, which I mean, for him in his mind, being an Edomite, would only make sense. Okay, to the denuclearize North Korea, to get out of the Middle East, and his question of U.S. military's involvement in Africa. Basically, he's happy with his slice of the American pie, and he wants them to just call it a day and just sip his pina colada with the paper umbrella underneath umbrella in Miami, man. I'm alarmed at how quick NNBC is too mechanically argue the contrary to be in favor of policies that just spell more conflict and more war. Really, we shouldn't get out of Syria. We wouldn't go for the more bold move of denuclearizing the Korean Peninsula. Even on Russia, though we should be concerned about the bitterness of our democracy that it is so vulnerable to manipulation, do we really yearn for a Cold War? And don't even get me started with the FBI. What, we now lionize this historically destructive institution? So he's calling bullshit and all these things, but he's just saying that, look, these people are so warped in everything that Trump is saying, that they're basically, even if he's, what I believe I'm gathering, even if he's saying some shit that makes sense, they're not even with it, man. They're basically going with their own narrative, so to speak. There's a saying about consultants that organizations hire them to hear exactly what they want to hear. Arkin writes in the conclusion of his statement, "I'm proud to say that NNBC didn't do that when it came to me. Similarly, I can say that I'm proud that I'm not guilty of giving my employers what they wanted. Still, the thing is this, and it's most organizations fear most variability, disturbance, difference, those things that are also the primary drivers of creativity are not really the things that I see valued in the reporting ranks. So they want everyone to speak what they're speaking in unison. And again, it's because they have an agenda that they need to play out, man. That's about as charitable as it could possibly be, said by a skeptical tongue. Another way to say it would be that plutocrat controlled and government enmeshed media networks hire reporters to protect the warmongering oligarchy status quo upon which media controlling plutocrats have built their respective kingdoms. And that's where it is, man. And unfortunately for this guy, he don't realize he's actually going against something that from the foundation is established so to be, man. It was built on blood, and warfare is part of it, and it needs to continue. There's no way you can turn it to let's be peaceful now, because that's a whole different ball game, man. All right. The reason why America is the strength it is because it established itself as a military force, and that's all it's gonna ever be known for. It's military might, and it was prophesied to be that, because when it was rolled up in the book of Daniel, starting with the Roman Empire, it was known for its great teeth, okay, and the iron teeth, okay, and that was because of the great military might, and foster an environment which elevates those who promote establishment-friendly narratives while marginalizing and pressuring anyone who doesn't. It's absolutely bizarre that it should be unusual for there to be a civilian analysis of the US war machine's behaviors in the mainstream media who is skeptical of its failed policies and non-stop bloodshed, and it's crime that such voices are barely holding on to the fringe of the media stage. Such analysis should be extremely normal and commonplace, not rare and made to feel as though they don't belong. And guess what? They don't belong. Because like I said, 3 world wars were prophesied, and we're hot on the heels of the third one. Okay, Revelations 11:14. The second woe is past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly. So the third world war cometh quickly. And we notice that we're in that time because even when you go into the express.co.uk, they have a segment, or ongoing segment that's been going on for many years, that is known as World War III, okay, where it speaks upon Putin, Trump, and various other key members within government that are key players within World War III, because that third woe cometh quickly. Revelation 12:12, it says, the devil knoweth that he have a short time, therefore cometh down with great wrath. Because the time is short, man. The Heavenly Father shortened the days for the sake of the elect. So there will be an elect to be saved, okay? So, this guy's talking about, he wants to talk about things that, but that's Esau's blessing. His blessing was a sword, and it came in the form of the gun in his early years of establishment, then perpetuated to the form of the missile, dealing with NATO, okay, the Yugoslavia bombing, even the atomic bombs. But now in this day and age, it's being perpetuated to the point where World War III is going to be fought with blood, okay? Let me first read that and then I'll establish this. Because all the warfare before weren't established for the fuel of fire, okay? They were done by sword swinging. Isaiah 9:5, for every battle of the warriors with confused noise and garments rolled in blood. Just check out a period piece, 300, Braveheart, it shows you that. But this shall be with burning and fuel of fire. So this World War III shall be established, shall be what? Burning and fuel of fire, because the Heavenly Father gave Esau that blessing, and he's going to utilize it in these last days. Okay, behold, I've created the smith. When you go into the ancient world, you had a smith, you had a goldsmith, a silversmith, a coppersmith, a blacksmith. And the smith basically was an artisan that basically, in metals, that would bring forth whatever form of imagery in a work of metal, okay? And these scientists of today are being compared with smiths, because they've brought forth something known as the ICBM, the Intercontinental Ballistic Missile. Behold, I've created the smith that bloweth the coals in the fire, and that bringeth forth an instrument for his work, ICBM. And I've created the waste to destroy, the ICBM. So the ICBMs are going to be being brought forth for what? World War III, to play out between the key players being America and Russia, which are both descendants of Esau. Okay, and that's why the Lord said, a house divided, Satan divided against Satan, how shall he stand? Because basically they're going to take out each other. Okay, and then the Lord's going to come in the midst and zap the remaining, war in heaven, and then beam up the elect in the midst of that fire, and then establish his kingdom on earth. So with that, man, I pray you edified. Shalom.